Are we live? Are we live? Are we going? Come on, YouTube, you got this. All right, hey, there we go. We're live. A bit earlier than expected because I honestly thought that I was half an hour late. Turns out I'm half an hour early, and I was already sitting here, and so I figured, what the heck? Let's go ahead and do our stream. So, hey, welcome back to Through the Bible, the weekly show. I try to do weekly. The weekly show where I go through the Bible. We're going to go chapter by chapter. Right now we're doing the story of Noah, which right now takes us to Genesis chapter 9. And I need to open up Blue Letter Bible just so that it's ready here. Things are finally calming down a little bit. I had some health things going on. I also had to take our daughter to back-to-back appointments on Fridays when I usually do the stream. And it was conveniently or inconveniently right around the stream time. And so I would get back and just be kind of exhausted, trying to work up the energy, and you know what, it was just better that I rested. So we are getting back into the swing of things with Genesis 9 today, continuing the story of Noah. Now I'm going to look back real quick just to remind myself where we were in Genesis 8. So there was wickedness in the world, and God said to Noah, build an ark. Noah built an ark, and then the world flooded in chapter 8, or in chapter 7, and then in chapter 8 the waters receded, and God said, not doing that again. So that takes us to Genesis chapter 9. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to start reading, and I'll stop along the way to see if anything stands out. Then God blessed Noah and his sons, saying to them, be fruitful and increase in number and fill the earth. That's a callback to Adam and Eve. Come on, guys, get it right this time. The fear and dread of you will fall on all the beasts of the earth, and on all the birds of the sky, on every creature that moves along the ground, and on all the fish in the sea. They are given into your hands. I believe that's also a callback to Adam and Eve. Rule over the earth and subdue it. Everything that lives and moves about you will be food for you. Just as I gave you the green plants, I now give you everything. All right. Hey, cool. Adam and Eve got plants. Everything is good to eat. Just don't eat that one tree. Hey, now I'm giving you everything. Like, go for it. Go eat some meat. But don't eat the meat that has its lifeblood in it. And for your lifeblood, I will surely demand an accounting. I will demand an accounting from every animal. And from each human being too, I will demand an accounting for the life of another human being. Whoever sheds human blood, by humans their blood shall be shed. For in the image of God has God made mankind. Interesting, okay. For your lifeblood, I will surely demand an accounting. What does that word mean? An accounting. That is an interesting use of the word accounting. So I'm going to look that up. That's in verse 5 here. Oh, you know what? I'm dumb, and I haven't had my my split screen going here. There we go. So we're in Genesis 9, and we see some callbacks here. Be fruitful and increase in number. You will rule over, or the fear and dread of you will fall on the beasts of the earth. Rule over everything, subdue it, and I give you these things to eat. Call back to Adam and Eve. And now we see in verse 4 through 6 something about the accounting of lifeblood. And so I want to look into that. This is the NASB, and then we're going to look at the Hebrew. But you shall not eat flesh with its life, that is, its blood. I surely will require your lifeblood, or your blood of your lives. From the hand of every animal I will require it, and from the hand of every person, from the hand of every man his brother, I will require the life of a person. Interesting. Okay, so what's this word accounting? Surely demand an accounting. Require life, require for a person. What? That's interesting. That word doesn't show up here. Okay, so let's switch real quick to the NIV on Blue Letter Bible. Oh, here we go. NIV. Demand an accounting. Let's look at this. I require it, and I require the life of a man. Interesting. What? Where is this word accounting? Surely I will require your lifeblood. From every beast I will require it, and from every man's brother, I will require the life of a man. So where does this word accounting come from? Okay, let's do a Google search, because it's not showing up. It's showing up in the English NIV. It's not showing up in the NASB, and it's not showing up in the Hebrew. That's so crazy. Okay, so put that back to NASB. All right, and then let's look at Genesis 9. Let's see, Genesis 9:5 is where we saw it. 9:5. Accounting. Okay. Demand an accounting. Accounting, come on. Let's look at Genesis 9:5. Commentary with the word accounting. Bible reference. Let's open that up. Okay. Let's Command F. Accounting. It's shown 3 times. It's only shown in the NIV. ESV says a reckoning. NASB just says I will require your blood. CSB says a penalty. NLT says require the blood of anyone who takes another person's life. Even the King James doesn't say accounting or reckoning, or what was the other one? Penalty. I will demand a reckoning. The New King James adds it. Interesting. What? So this word just pops up out of nowhere. We have some form of it in the NIV, the CSB, and the ESV, which I believe is all thought for thought translations. Christian Standard Bible. Let's see. Thought for thought. Let's see. It's said to be highly accurate. Optimal equivalence. Here we go. Okay. So, as you can see, we have stuff like the message all the way on the right. That's going to be thought for thought, and then word for word. So we have the NASB. Okay, the ESV is word for word. Okay, I was misunderstanding. Okay, and then the CSB is somewhere in the middle of the NASB and the NIV. Interesting, but it still adds that word. Why is that word there? It doesn't appear in the Hebrew text. Is it to help make sense? Why are you there? Huh. Okay. All right. I guess it must just be for the sake of clarity to say, hey, don't eat meat that has blood still in it. Don't eat things that are alive, because then you'll have to account for that. There will be a penalty for that. That penalty will be your life. This is confusing. This is a question mark. This is a legitimate question mark for me. This is why I really like going through the Bible in this way, because I have read through Genesis many times, and I have never picked up on this. This is the first time, legitimately the first time, because the Bible is such a big book that it just, there's so much that you can read on different read-throughs. This is okay. Essentially, give life, don't take life. Be fruitful, increase in number, right? It's repeated again, as it is up here. It was like a baby crying or something. Give life, don't take life. Interesting. And there will be a reciprocal action that is taken when someone takes life. Okay, I'm gonna look outside the window real quick. Okay, good news. The child is supervised. That is good. There is an adult, and the child is safe. That is good. All right, where were we? All right. So give life, don't take life. If you take life, there will be a reciprocal action. Then God said to Noah and his sons with him, I now establish my covenant with you and with your descendants after you, and with every living creature that was with you, the birds, the livestock, and all the wild animals, all those that came out of the ark with you, every living creature on earth. I establish my covenant with you. Never again will all life be destroyed by the waters of a flood. Never again will there be a flood to destroy the earth. I covered a bit of that in the last video. And God said, This is the sign of the covenant I am making between me and you and every living creature with you, a covenant for all generations to come. I have set my rainbow in the clouds, and it will be a sign of the covenant between me and the earth. Whenever I bring clouds over the earth and the rainbow appears in the clouds, I will remember my covenant between me and you and all living creatures of every kind. Never again will the waters become a flood to destroy all life. Whenever the rainbow appears in the clouds, I will see it and remember the everlasting covenant between God and all living creatures of every kind on the earth. So God said to Noah, this is the sign of the covenant I have established between me and all life on earth. Interesting. Okay, we've talked crazy in depth about how this Christian epic could have been true but doesn't need to be true in order for it to be important. And it likely is addressing the cultures around it. Different cultures, such as Babylon, would have had a flood mythology they would have had this flood mythology that the earth was covered with water. Many cultures have that. And in addressing that, it says, okay, when the rain falls, you can look for a rainbow, and that rainbow will be a sign, a reminder that God will not flood the earth again, because the people who are writing Genesis are looking to make sense of the context around them. And they say, okay, assuming that there was a flood, we can look and remember that if there's a rainbow, right? Why do we have rainbows? Must be God's sign that he's not going to flood the earth again, because we know that our God is not going to flood the earth. That's not the kind of God that we follow. However, the common understanding of the time is that God did do this. And so, okay, let's assume that it happened. This would have been the role that God played. So, it's kind of tricky. It's a weird line to walk, because I'm not saying that it didn't happen. I'm saying that it didn't have to happen in order for it to be important. Maybe these people are just trying to make sense of the world around them. So then we continue forward with the sons of Noah. The sons of Noah who came out of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Ham was the father of Canaan. These were the three sons of Noah, and from them came the people who were scattered over the whole earth. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. We're starting to maybe get a little bit of connection. Things have been pretty abstract so far, but now we're name-dropping Canaan here, and so we are moving closer towards something a little more concrete, a little bit less of this epic narrative. Noah, a man of the soil, proceeded to plant a vineyard. When he drank some of its wine, he became drunk and lay uncovered inside his tent. Ham, the father of Canaan, saw his father naked and told his two brothers outside. But Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it across their shoulders. Then they walked in backward and covered their father's naked body. Their faces were turned the other way so that they would not see their father naked. When Noah awoke from his wine and found out what his youngest son had done to him, he said, "Cursed be Canaan, the lowest of slaves will he be to his brothers." He also said, "Praise be to the Lord, the God of Shem. May Canaan be the slave of Shem. May God extend Japheth's territory. May Japheth live in the tents of Shem, and may Canaan be the slave of Japheth." After the flood, Noah lived 350 years. Noah lived a total of 950 years, and then he died. Now, we're name-dropping Canaan, and then we're automatically setting up Canaan to be an antagonist in the story. The first thing that Canaan does is he sees his father naked, and he goes and wants to make fun of him. Well, that's subtext. The first thing he does is go and talks about it with his brothers, instead of doing anything. But his brothers go and they take care of the father. The brothers take a garment. They make sure that they're not invading Noah's privacy. Noah also, we're looking and seeing that he's having a little bit of a shaky situation here, because the first thing that he does after this covenant is made is he plants a vineyard and he gets drunk, and he passes out naked. Not exactly savior of the world material. However, we see this so often that the righteous people who have flaws will ultimately lead to Jesus. And it will take a very, very, very long time, but we'll get there. So we are setting up Canaan to be the antagonist here. And the descendants of Shem and Japheth. Oh, sounds like the Hebrew word for extend. Interesting. So God will extends territory. The people will go out from Japheth, and Shem will rule over Canaan. Now I'm thinking we have three types of people here, right? We have the descendants of Shem that, let's see. Yeah. The descendants of Shem, I'm predicting here, will be faithful to God. The descendants of Canaan will not be faithful to God. That's an easy one because we see that set up here. The Canaanites we see a lot in the Old Testament as the antagonists. And then Japheth, I'm thinking are Japheth's descendants, I'm thinking will populate the rest of the earth. But let's go ahead, Genesis 10, let's see if that's right. If not, it'll get cut out of the edit. This is the account of Shem, Ham, and Japheth, Noah's sons, who themselves had sons after the flood. The Japhethites, the sons of Japheth: Gomer, Magog, Madai, Japhan, Tubai, Meshech, and Tiras. The sons of Gomer: Ashkenaz, Riphath, and Togarmah. The sons of Javan: Elisha, Tarshish, the Kittites, and the Rodanites. From these, the maritime peoples spread out into their territories by their clans with their nations, each with its own language. And some texts include Dodanites. All right, these are the sons of Japheth, right? They spread out. Okay, we're right so far. The Hamites, the sons of Ham: Cush, Egypt, Put, and Canaan. Egypt, hey, there's another name drop. The sons of Cush: Seba, Havilah, Sabta, Ramah, and Sabteka. The sons of Ramah: Sheba and Dedan. Cush was the father of Nimrod, or the ancestor or predecessor or founder. So not maybe literally father. Cush was the father of Nimrod, who became a mighty warrior on the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. That is why it is said, like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Lord. The first centers of his kingdom were Babylon, hey, another name drop, Uruk, Akkad, and Calneh in Shinar, or all of them in Shinar. From that land he went to Assyria, hey, another name drop, where he built Nineveh, name drop, Rehoboth, Ir, or Nineveh with its city squares, Kala, and Rezin, which is between Nineveh and Kala, which is the great city. Egypt was the father of the Ludites, Anamites, Lehabites, Naphtuhites, Pathrusites, Casluhites, from which the Philistines came, another name drop, and the Caphtorites. Canaan was the father of Sidon, his firstborn. I believe Sidon is also another one. And the Hittites, that's another one. Let's see. Sidonites. The Jebusites, Amorites, those sound familiar. Girgashites, the Hivitites, Architites, Sinitites, Arvadites, Zemarites, and Hamathites. Whew! Later, the Canaanite clans scattered, and the borders of Canaan reached from Sidon toward Gerar as far as Gaza, and then towards Sodom, name drop, Gomorrah, name drop, Admah, and Zeboim as far as Lasha. These are the sons of Ham by their clans and languages in their territories and nations. Wow, so many name drops there. Most of them, if not all of them, because I don't want to speak in absolutes. are antagonists to the Israelites, and they all come from the line of Ham, which is the line of Canaan. Interesting. Okay. Finally, the Semites. Sons were also born to Shem, whose older brother was Japheth. Shem was the ancestor of all the sons of Eber. The sons of Shem: Elam, Ashur, Arphaxad, Lud, and Aram. The sons of Aram: Uz, which I believe comes up later, Hul, Gether, and Meshech, or Mash. Arphaxad was the father of Shelah, father of Canaan, and Canaan was the father of... Interesting. So we have a different Canaan, but maybe condensed for clarity. And Shelah, the father of Eber. 2 sons were born to Eber. One was named Peleg, which means division, because in his time the earth was divided, and his brother was named Joktan. Okay. Joktan was the father of Almodad, Shelef, Hazarmaveth, Jerah, Hadaram, Uzal, Dikla, Obal, Ibamiel, Sheba, which sounds familiar, Ophir, Havilah, and Jobab. All these were sons of Joktan. The region where they lived stretched from Mesha towards Sephar in the eastern hill country. These are the sons of Shem by their clans and languages, in their territories and nations. These are the clans of Noah's sons, according to their lines of descent within their nations. From these the nations spread out over the earth after the flood. Woo! We did it. We got through all the names. That was a lot. All right. So I was right. Cool. That worked out. So we see that the sons of Japheth spread out from their territories. And this is where we get a lot of the different languages. The Hamites, again, the son who did his father dirty, he did Noah dirty, had a bunch of descendants, many of which became antagonists to the sons of Shem, I believe. Still, jury's still out on that one. We haven't seen anything that connects Shem, however, though. Yes, okay. So let's move forward to Genesis 11. And this is the Tower of Babel. Now we see all of these descendants, the family tree is growing and has grown out of the ark. We have people that are spreading out. They are crossing the sea. They are spreading languages. We see a bunch of antagonists in one column, and then a bunch of, potentially, we haven't seen the connection yet, God followers in another column. But here we go, from Shem to Abraham. That is the line there. So we are about to see that. This is the Tower of Babel. Now the whole world had one language and a common speech. Interesting. Okay, we just saw that there was many languages in the last chapter. So let's take a step back and think, just like the flood narrative, just like the garden/mountain narrative, we have now the tower narrative. I did do a podcast episode on this called The Garden, the Flood, and the Tower, if you want to dive deeper into that. But this is another common ancient mythology, that there was this tower that was built up to heaven. So let's assume that the surrounding cultures aren't wrong about the tower narrative. Let's see how God fits into this. Now the whole world had one language and a common speech. As people moved eastward, again moving east, They found a plain in Shinar and settled there. Let's see, eastward, from the east or in the east. Remember, as we are moving farther away from Eden, farther away from God, we're moving to the east. They found a plain in Shinar. This is Babylonia. Okay, Babylon. We're getting some movement here into some more familiar names. They said to each other, "Come, let's make bricks and bake them thoroughly." They used brick instead of stone and tar for mortar. Then they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves. Otherwise, we will be scattered over the face of the whole earth." Again, okay, humans saying, let's build a city with a tower to the heavens because we deem that to be good. We want to make a name for ourselves, and we want to seize that name for ourselves. But the Lord came down to the city and the tower the people were building. The Lord said, "If as one people speaking the same language they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. Come, let us go down and confuse their language so that they will not understand each other." So the Lord scattered them from there all over the earth, and they stopped building the city. This is why it was called Babel, which means that is Babylon. Babel sounds like the Hebrew word for confused. Okay, because there the Lord confused the language of the whole world. From there the Lord scattered them all over the face of the whole earth. So this is an Israelite perspective looking at Babylon and referring to it as Babel, because that is where God confused the language. Like, hey, see this big city that they built up for themselves? God says, hey, if you are all working together, then I'm sure you could accomplish something. The text says that there is nothing they plan to do that will be impossible for them. If humanity is allowed to seize control, right? Again, mirroring the narrative from the garden, if humanity seizes, then there is no purpose for a relationship with God. They will go on, they will accomplish things. And this is subtext here, but I'm thinking they will go on and things will end up right back where they were with the flood. Right before the flood, the world will become once again corrupt because they will make a name for themselves. That's what their goal is. Their goal is to make a name for themselves. That will not be impossible. I do want to look and just make sure I'm not misquoting here. I'm going to go to Genesis 11. And now nothing which they plan to do will be impossible for them. Inaccessible. Okay. Nothing will be impossible. All right, we see that nothing will be impossible. Nothing will be impossible. Let's look at the word. Basar. To gather, restrain, fence, fortify, make inaccessible. To cut off, fortify, withheld. Fortify. Nothing will be withheld. Nothing will be cut off. Nothing will be made inaccessible. Interesting. This is another question mark passage. Can humanity do whatever they seek to do just by working together? Did God have to put a stop to that? Again, is this literally something that God did, or is it Israelites trying to make sense of the world around them? Those are all questions that I do not have answers for. All I can do in this situation is have faith that if this really happened, then God had a reason for it. And in my mind, that reason is likely to avoid the corruption of the earth that would happen if Babel was able to be built and became this beacon of corruption for all people, because we'll see what Babylon itself can do in future chapters. All right. We'll wrap up here with Shem's family line and then Abraham's family. We got some more names. This is the account of Shem's family line. 2 years after the flood, when Shem was 100 years old, he became the father of Arphaxad. He became the father of Arphaxad. And after he became the father of Arphaxad, Shem lived 500 years and had other sons and daughters. When Arphaxad had lived 35 years, he became the father of Shelah. And after he became the father of Shelah, Arphaxad lived 403 years and had other sons and daughters. Oh, okay. The Septuagint says he became the father of Canaan, 430 years, sons and daughters, and then Canaan to Shelah. Okay, I think we're removing Canaan here from these texts, likely to avoid confusion. But there is a step between Arphaxad and Shelah. When Shelah lived 30 years, he became the father of Eber. And after he became the father of Eber, Shelah lived 403 years and had other sons and daughters. When Eber had lived 34 years, he became the father of Peleg. And after he became the father of Peleg, Eber lived 430 years and had other sons and daughters. When Peleg had lived 30 years, he became the father of Ru. And after he became the father of Ru, Peleg lived 209 years and had other sons and daughters. When Ru had lived 32 years, he became the father of Serug. And after he became the father of Serug, Ru lived 207 years and had other sons and daughters. When Serug had lived 30 years, he became the father of Nahor. And after he became the father of Nahor, Serug lived 200 years and then had other sons and daughters. When Nahor had lived 29 years, he became the father of Terah. And after he became the father of Terah, Nahor lived 119 years and had other sons and daughters. After Terah had lived 70 years, he became the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Okay, that brings us to Abram, later to be called Abraham. This is the account of Terah's family line. Terah became the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran became the father of Lot. Lot, Abram's nephew, will come up again later. While his father Terah was still alive, Haran died in Ur of the Chaldeans in the land of his birth. Abram and Nahor both married. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah. She was the daughter of Haran, the father of both Milcah and Iscah. Now Sarai was childless because she was not able to conceive. Terah took his son Abram, his grandson Lot, son of Haran, and his daughter-in-law Sarai, the wife of his son Abram, and together they set out from Ur of the Chaldeans to go to Canaan. But when they came to Haran, they settled there. Terah lived 205 years, and he died in Haran. All right, this now is where things start to become very concrete. So we're name-dropping many, many places here, and we are moving out of the land of Babylon, right? Everything was scattered from Babylon up here. Everything is scattered because of the events of the Tower of Babel. That is the common belief of the time. Okay, assuming that that is correct, and that there was a literal Tower of Babel that they believed happened, and everything was sent out, the Israelite mind would go, okay, where does God play into this? Let's say God is responsible for the scattering because we want to avoid what happened with the corruption of mankind, which led to the flood, right? He said he's not going to flood again, so instead, let's do a scattering. Now, we're going to zoom in, right? We're putting all the tools together in this episode. Let's zoom in into the life of Shem's family so that we can get to this guy, Abram. Now, out of the land of Babylon, we are going to see Abram, who is going to come and be, again, just like Noah, be a remnant, a beacon of who God is in the land of Canaan. But they're not to Canaan yet. They are at Haran. So, in Genesis 12, which we'll cover in the next video, we are going to see, again, zooming in even further, we're zooming in from Babel to the family of Abram, and then we're going to zoom in even further into God's relationship to Abram. Just like in the creation narrative, where we see, okay, this is creation, this is how everything came together, this was the common belief, let's zoom in to Adam and Eve. Again, we're saying this is the tower narrative, let's zoom in to Abram, later to be called Abraham. So that is what we have for today. Shorter stream, but just want to get back into the swing of things. If you're watching back on the recording, we have some more content for you right here. Hey, thank you guys for joining the stream or watching back on the recording, whichever it is. Please, I hope that you join us for the future episodes as we go through the Bible. So that's all. Thanks, guys.